There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed.
Oh, hi. Welcome to my messy office. What a surprise. I have to, or I'm going to read page 139, if I can find it. Here it is. Guess what it's called? I seem to have misplaced my marbles. It's back to school yet again, and every year about now I think back to when I lost my marbles. Well, most of them anyway. And I know what you're thinking. No surprise, Harley, I already knew you were missing a few marbles. Well, be that as it may, this time I'm actually referring to the one very most important phenomenon that going back to school meant to me and my friends. Behaving ourselves and getting good grades. And if you believe that, maybe you've lost some of your marbles. You just don't see kids playing marbles in the fall anymore. I'm not sure why they don't, but I feel kind of sorry about that. It's too bad that so many young people these days are missing their marbles. We used to play marbles to, from, and during in school and every day in the fall until mothers would have to call us in for supper. So here, greatly simplified, are some of the reasons marbles were so important to us toffee-nosed little thumb flickers. Number 1. The marble bag. By far the most common and the best marble bag was a purple velvet Seagram's Crown Royal whiskey pouch. It originally held a bottle of hooch, but it was just the right size, and it was strong and durable and snazzy looking with Seagram's whiskey embroidered in gold on the bag and the thick gold braided tie string at the top. I'm not sure what it says about adults of the 50s and 60s, but every household seemed to have a Seagram's whiskey bag lying around because darn near every kid I knew had one full of marbles. Number 2, the marbles. The types were classic. To name a few, boulders and cobs, large and medium type marbles, kings and queenies. There were the fairly rare onion skin and aggies. I always liked the crystals, foggy or clear marbles in an astonishing variety of single colors that you would hold up to the sky and look through. But by far the most common marbles in anyone's Seagram's bag was the cat's eye. Cat's eyes were regular sized, clear orbs with colorful swirls inside, and everyone had dozens of them. They were the worker drones of the marble game, the currency, the cannon fodder. They were common, but they were cool. Number 3, the lingo. Marble culture had a language of its own. If you were playing so that you got to keep the opponent's marble if you hit it, you declared keepsies before the game. If you were allowed to substitute your cherished shooter and give the winner a reasonable facsimile, you agreed on changeies. And if your enemy didn't trust you to give up a good marble, he could call out pixies, which meant he could pick any substitute marble in your bag. Number 4, the game. The game. The most common game of marbles consisted of flicking your marbles ahead by holding your shooter in the crook of your index finger and flipping it, the marble, with your thumb. Your opponent or opponents would then try to flick his shooter to try and hit yours. If he missed and ended up close to yours on the ground, it was an easy hit for your turn. And then you got to keep his marble, depending on the aforementioned rules that were called out before first toss. And he would dig out another shooter marble and away we'd go again. And it was during one of those heated matches that I had a string of bad shooting, bad luck, and bad judgment. I had called twosies, which meant you could take 2 marbles from your enemy if a hit was scored. Bad move. I couldn't hit a thing that fateful morning, and by the time we got to South School, Robert Sibley had won very nearly my whole entire bag of marbles. And that included my favorite solid blue cob and 2 of my prized crystals. But by noon, with steely resolve in my sad heart, an evil eye, and deadly accurate thumb, I took Robert on with full gusto and wild abandon for the walk home. And by the time we were both late getting home for lunch, I had won back my lost marbles and several of Robert's own favorites to boot. It was like that with marbles. Back and forth, hit and miss. And speaking of missing, I miss my marbles. I think I'll spend some time digging around in the boxes in the basement this week. I'm sure that purple Seagram's bag is in my old stuff somewhere, and when I find it, I can't wait to take a good close look at my old marbles, each one with a memory or two, each one like a long-lost friend. So if you happen to see me out on the street with my Seagram's bag, shooting around some Aggies and cat's eyes, it doesn't mean I've lost my marbles. It means I finally found them. And guess what? I was digging around this week, and you'll never believe what I found. Hey, there's my old cob. Look at, here's Pee-wee, right here. Ha! I don't see a steely anywhere. I think that, wow, there's a crystal. Isn't that sweet? I'm gonna keep that one, and there's a blue one. Oh, here's an Aggie. You never see those anymore. Here's another cob and a queenie. Ah, hey, anybody want to play marbles? This is, oh, look at this one. That's a swirly one. That's one of my favorites. I remember this one. Oh, look on the floor. There's a bunch of cat's eyes. Hey, there's a king cob. Wow, I was deadly with this one. I call keepsies. I love marbles. Who are you? Bantoozies.